So, hi everybody, welcome back. We continue. And this with what? First of all, this is our Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for beginners, and this one is still an overview. And which video is that? This is video number 23. So far, so good. And in this video, what we are going to do in this video is, I think we want to talk about user interface widget blueprint. And this one is very important. So how you go there is you right click here again, or the plus sign here, and on the bottom user interface. And here on the bottom it says widget blueprint. About this one we are talking, but first of all we have to create it. But before we create a widget blueprint, let's create a right folder for it. So we go to our folder. In my case, this is the folder which I have, my project folder. I right click here, I go here on top and click new folder and name it. You can name it user interface, but this name is very long and many people use just the shortcut. So learn this because you will hear it more than user interface, the shortcut UI, and we call it also UI, but all time you see this UI, just say user interface so you learn it. All right, so we have created our UI folder, and now we open this one up and create our user interface here. Important note, Unreal Engine has a folder user interface. I right click here on it, and then I go down to user interface. But what we are going to create is called widget blueprint. This is Unreal Engine specific version of user interface. That's very important to note here, because the name user interface is more a general name, which you can find also in many other game engines, in other programming languages and so on. But widget blueprint is probably Unreal Engine specific, and we go on that, we click on this, and then we have to choose here, and this is new. Normally we create, let me see this one more time, oops, because I was used to another thing. Anyway, let's click again, and then the user widget is extended by user through the widget blueprint. Yes, this one. Okay, we go here down where it says user widget, and this one, and then we select this one, and then we select this one, we click yes, select, and then we name it. Important, the name here, we have again a name convention. Non-convention means there is again a prefix to find this kind of widgets very fast. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's widget WB, because it means widget blueprint underscore, and then you name it again, what you name it. And I call this widget blueprint now main menu, because this will be, or let's call it just menu, because we make not a real menu, we make just a menu here on for our game menu. And we save all what we have here, and we open this up, and then we dock this again here on top. And third person character we don't need now, so I have again only my main menu, and now I'm here in my widget blueprint. Let's talk a little bit about this editor here a little bit, what we have, what we not have. So you can see on top it's the same. I think there I don't need talk too much. We have again our compile, our save, then the browse and so on. We can here play again, debug, Widget reflector, I don't know. This is not so important at start, but later you can read what if you need it. But more important, here on the right side, here on top, we have again parent class. The widget can have a parent class, and if you click on this one, you will probably not go to it because it's again a C++ integrated engine class, I think. And if not, perhaps you made a parent class, then you can enter it. That's that. And here the more important one are these two tabs here. The designer tab is the place where we are right now, and it's called the designer tab because here we can design it, like we can import the image, the buttons, and all the style. And the right side we have the graph tab. This is again like a blueprint. Here we code all the functionality for the design, and that's that. Let's go back to our designer tab. On the left side we have here two things. Library, is this new or so? I'm not sure. This library I never used so far, because I use normally only palette, and the palette means all the all the styles which you can make. For example, in our case, we want let's say we want have an image, then you go here on top. Here are the common. This one, before I go on and put anything here, let's talk here about this palette first. On top we have common. Common means just what you use most time. For example, border, button, checkbox, not so much actually, but perhaps some people use it. Image, yes, this one is very important. Buttons important. Name slot, also not so important. Progress bar, perhaps important. Text is important. Slider, perhaps. Text in general, yes. So you can see these are the most time used things, and you can probably add it your own there too. But in general, you go here to the categories and find what you really need later. And we don't go here are the input controls. What you can input. The most important input is probably text input, which you have here on top already. Editor, not so important. List, perhaps if you need a list. In general, perhaps you need, in my case not really. Extendable area, not really. Optimization, yeah, not really. It's a panel that's more important. Here are this canvas panel is important, and horizontal box, perhaps the scroll box, scale box, and so size box. The other one, vertical, actually only three things. Think about here just the horizontal box, the canvas, of course, the canvas panel, horizontal box, and vertical box, I would say. And all other are just again optionals. And primitive, what we have here, yeah, some special styling things, not so important at start. Special effect, background blur, forget this one, not so important at start. The background blur, and then we have here some Synth slider. I don't know even this one really, never used really, but you can see these are many options again which you really need only if the case you if you see a thing where you really need this. In general, most of them you don't need. Animation sample UA, this is just a animation sample. And let's go in at once what we have here. The magic entry box, not so important thing too. But here I miss actually one more thing. Where is the animation section? Oh, here on bottom. They have changed it a little bit because this one has also animation section. Is this one this? Yes. it was not shown here, but before in the older version it was all time docked here on the bottom. In this case it is not. So let's see if I can dock this to the layout. So this one is the animation section. This is also interesting if you want to animate your user interface, but at start not so important. But what animate means here is, for example, you have here an image. Let me explain this here too. You have here an image, and let's say when the game starts, you want that this image is sliding in instead of being here at start, something like that. And this one you can make with this animation. So what happens is it will put out the image outside of the screen, and when it starts it will just slide it slowly, for example here in, or fade in, or what you make. That said that, we go on. So I think that's enough. And here on the bottom here a little bit, let's talk about the hierarchy. The hierarchy is how we order all these assets. For example, we start with a canvas panel normal. Later I show you a simple example, and then you add to it, for example, an image, and then you add a button, and all these things will be here listed. Again, you can click on it, and here on the right side you have again your details, which you can manipulate, set, and so on. Okay, I think then we have here bind widgets. This is a little bit different than before. Normally you have, for example, you can bind special widgets, but this one you do normally here in details panel. There's a bind section. Let me show you what I mean with that. For example, I get this button. Now I have a big button here, and normally then you go here, for example, to behavior details panel, and here is a bind section. Here you bind this, and this bind means here code binding. So with other words, when I click on this one, what should happen? And this bind will then connect this to a code, and the code will execute what should happen when you click on this button, for example. But let's delete this one and switch to our graph. And here, actually, here I don't need to talk much, because what you see here is similar to the blueprint graph. Not exactly the same, but similar, because we have here again constructs. Most time we don't need this one. This event construct perhaps, this event pre-construct absolute not, and event tick. We will talk about this tick more. This is most time we don't need this one in blueprint widget 2. And then we have again our function section, variable section, like in blueprint coding. This is just again coding again. You can think about it just blueprint coding again in widget blueprint. And on the bottom here we have our details, so this time it's on the bottom. And I think that is so far okay, but I will give you a fast demonstration about this widget blueprint, because it's very easy to make, actually very fast, I think. And then we have here a little menu, but careful, I make here a very basic widget menu, which means it looks not very good. It is just for prototyping, and if you want to go, of course, higher level, it will get more and more complicated, but straightforward. It is easy. It is just work, much work. Okay, let's get started. I show you how we make a very easy main menu. I never did this here in Unreal Engine 5, and let's see if I can do this. So first of all, I said very important, we need most time a canvas, because it's here, it's not on top. That's a little bit strange, because before there was something here on top too, but let's talk later about them. A canvas was normally before all time here represented in Unreal Engine 4, and here it is not. Very strange. That's very strange. So in this case, we just go here on the left side, we go to panel, and the first one is that what we want. We click this here, and now after I click this, you can see this canvas was all time presented, and here this double arrows here, one here and here, you can change here the resolution. And what you see here now is, for example, screen resolution. You should know this about your display. For example, my is very standard. This one here 1920 and 180, but if you have a bigger one or a smaller one, then you can set this accordingly. But most time this one is probably the most supported one, I think. The other one in special cases. So I keep this one, and now we have our canvas, and with the mouse wheel middle one I can zoom in and zoom out, with the scroll wheel I mean. And here I forget the move tool, sorry for that. Then with the left mouse button, if you click this, you can move this this plane here. With the right mouse button you click it. It's not a very big deal. So there, left mouse button, you hold it, then you can move it, and the scroll middle mouse button you can zoom in, zoom out, and with the left mouse button you select it. So first of all, we have selected here our canvas. You can see it now here, and I will not name this and set here any big settings because I make a very basic, simple, fast menu. I talked more than the more than the time which I could create this. I mean, I could create this in less time than I talked. Okay, let's go on. Here, what I do now is I need just a button. I get this. I click on this button. I drag and drop it here. I make this one a little bit bigger, and then because let's put it just here, whatever. And no, let's put it here. And then you can see the hierarchy. The canvas is my green one. The button is now here, intended here a little bit, and here because it's added to this canvas. And now I need one more thing here, a text, and a text I add here in the middle. You can add it directly like I did, or you can add it here instead. This is also possible. Let's delete this text. Let's show you this one too. Instead, using using the canvas, I can go here and add it here button. Don't care about the names right now. They have very strange names and so, but we have now this button, and I say I click on my text, I go to the details panel on the right side, I go down to content, which is this one, and here I write just what I want. Let's say start. Now I have a start button. Let's give this button, I click now this one. You can click the button here, or you can click the button here. Same effect. I click and I change a little bit the color. Here I go to, on the right side, to the options menu, to appearance, to color and opacity. And here I click second in appearance, and you can write the color directly if you know the numbers, but I don't know. I click here on this color and opacity field here, and then this pop-up menu comes. This is much more convenient, and then I can choose one color which I want. For example, now, oops, this one I don't want it. Why is this one? What I have set here, appearance, color, and opacity, style, background color. Okay, this was not the background color, that's why. Okay, let's click the background color. That makes more sense now. And put something so in. Whatever, let's make green. And okay, and you can see I have now made a color start button, and for my menu this one, let's put it here in the middle, just for fun. And you can see here a strange thing. You can see here a strange thing. This is called an anchor, and this anchor is just saying this element here must be synchronized with this canvas and the resolution of your screen. And there is a little bit problem, so this works not out of the box, and that's why they have this anchor system. And about this you should read read the documentation what they mean with that exactly. But because of this one, I have to set here is an anchor menu here on the right side. For every element there is an anchor system. And you go here, I click first the button here on details, on top on anchor, I click here on this anchor, and then I have here the anchor options. And in this case, this one would be if you anchor it here on the full screen here, or you say I want just anchor it here on top, for example. It's not so important, but later it is important when you make it accurate. And actually, let's say this is it. Yes, this is my start button. I compile, I save, and I go to my menu, and when I press play, you see nothing happens. The menu, my user interface, is not here. The thing is, one more thing, let's stop this one. We have to do one more step because we have just created this widget blueprint, for example. Now we have to add this, call this, because when the game starts, it should call this widget blueprint to use it. And this is the place where there are different kind of places where we can do it, but I said you at the start there are two very important classes, which is first the game mode, which has nothing in it very strangely, and there is the default pawn class, which has many code already in it. But in our case, and there is also later the player controller class, which can have also the widget blueprint actually. But in our case, we put this widget blueprint here in our game mode. So we easy way to find, I go browse to asset, double click on it. Here is again the short overview. I want the full overview. And then here, like I said, it is docked on top on me. You can dock it here on top. Now we can switch here, and here we have just to say to this class, please call this one here. And the way we do this is a little bit coding, but not a big deal here, is we switch. We have here the viewport, the construction script, the event graph. We go to the event graph. This is the coding section. Then we right click with the mouse button, and then this pop-up menu comes, and then we search a very commonly used node, which is begin play, and it says event begin play. It's one of the most important nodes because this one means when I press here play button, this one will be called behind the scenes. That's very important. So, and what I want to do is that this node should call this one here, right? And there is a special function. It is called special, not function, node. We search all time nodes. We drag and we drag out here from this point this white line, and then we search the node. You can write widget, and then you have different kind of options, but sometimes not the right one, like this one. Then we have to specify it a little bit more. Create widget, for example. You see, this is the nice thing in programming with nodes. You don't have to know exactly the name. If you are going, for example, for C++ programming, you need to know exactly the names. And if you write if you write it there wrong, it works not. And here you just write, for example, search like me, create widget. Here, this node I want, it is written like this one, and so, and I have it. That's nice. That's why I say this programming, prototyping in Blueprints is absolute very fast, not like me, how I demonstrated, but if you make this one without talk, you are finished in 1 minute, really, if you know it, of course. So we have found this node. This node is a very important node. This is a create widget. Create widget means similar to call this widget, right? This widget, I want that you create it, but it means this is a programming specific thing. Don't worry, I don't explain this. Let's go on. We have now here, I can select the class which it should create, right? I go here and go here. We called it Widget Blueprint, our convention menu. Okay, then when I compile it here on top, you'll see all time when it's yellow, it means you should compile it, and then it's green, and save it. And we go back to our menu and start. You will see it's still not here, but wait a minute, I created, right? Because there is one more thing. This one, let me show you this one. This is the ruler. I said the game mode rules over all the other one. This one is creating this widget, which means I create you now, but I never added you to the viewport, which means I have created you. For example, I have taken you out of your place. For example, it was here in our UI, and then I have created an object of that. Now I have it, but I have it not added to this viewport here. This is the next step which we have to do, and this one you do. This is not the right explanation if you go with programming, but this is the right explanation for starters. This makes more sense. The programming explanation makes only sense if you know programming, so that's why I don't use that. So, and that was just a side note, so let's continue. The game mode says now, I have it, but I have to use it, right? And he say, I have to add this widget now to the viewport, and there you click on this blue return value, which means this one is connected now with this selected widget, which we selected here. And we search then add you see, I don't know perhaps the name. I can see it, add to viewport. When you know the node, you don't need to write it absolute right, or you can write sometimes viewport, and then there are many options, and then you can sometimes read what you really need. And it was add to viewport and not add player screen or something like that. And now compile again. That's very important. All time we compile it again, we save it again, and this should work. And when it's not working now, we have a problem. Here, one more note. This one is the quick test. I tested all time here, and then you can perhaps get rid of this one too if you want. And you have here a bigger screen, which is more convenient for many. And then you play it. And indeed, I have a start button. Of course, you can make here some more buttons here on the side. We can change this very easy, by the way. Here, for example, we can go here and then set the anchor also here on this side this time. And I say, hey, let's let it look more like a menu. This one looks like just a button. Okay, then I can make here, I click here on my button, for example, right click, I click duplicate. Now I have one, and then I go here, and let's say I click here again on this button, right click, duplicate. Now I have one, and I put it this one. And what I'm doing now is I call this one star, this one star, this one. I go to details panel. Actually, I go here to details panel, and then I search the content, because the content is where the text is, because I want to change the text. I call this main menu, and I go to this one and I call this quit, because perhaps I want quit it. And I go here on top, compile, save, and I go to my start page. I press enter, and you see this one looks much more like a menu, still for basic tests. But here's one more problem. When I press start, nothing happens, and I said, let's quit this. There is one more thing to mention, and I said this before. This one is the designer place. So the designer is working here more or less. But there is also for the widget blueprint a coding place. And a coding place means when I press, for example, this button, it should something happen, right? I want that something happens. And let's demonstrate this here with this quit button. I think there is a easy way. I hope so. And the thing you can do is a button has a click event. Here you go here on the right side in details down where it said events, yeah, and there you go on clicked or on pressed to read this, which you need. I make it just on click now. And I click on this plus sign, and you see what happens, right? Here on top, it switched the place from designer to programming place, and it's not using any of these things here on top. You can keep them, you can delete them. Let's keep them because they are. Let's delete them because we are not really using them right now, so they don't annoy us. Compile, save. But now this node is asking what you want, right? So I go back here, I want quit. You have to think about it. I press now on this button, and this node is asking us now, okay, what you want to do after you clicked this button. And for this little demonstration, I say I want quit. Quit, which means stop the running game. There is a console command, I think, execute console command. This is a special node. This one interacts with console, and this one will be also a very important node later, because there are some commands you just want use here. But the only problem is I don't know if I know the command name you have to write here. Is it quit? I don't know. We will see if it's well. Compile, save. Then I switch to my level. I press enter. Here the red sign means I'm active. Now I quit and it stopped. It worked. Perfect. And this one we can also see in our Outlook book, I think. Let me see. Clear this one. Clear log. I start this one more time. I go to output log and I press quit. Let me see. Do I see anything? Destroy online system, subsystem. Okay. Not really. It's more confusing than helping us right now. So forget this. Anyway, that is actually what I wanted to show you. Yes, it will take much time. Actually, this little menu, what I showed you here, you can do it in 1 minute or less. That's the normal way. That's the normal way. This one, not even 1 minute. You make this in 30 seconds if you know all these nodes, of course. But as a starter, you have research all these things. That's normal. So I think we can stop here, and let's see what we are going in the next. So we talked about this user interface, which was important. We added this one here, and in the next one I think we will talk a little bit yes, creating a level and some general infos, or little bit more. Yeah, let's see what we have. There are many things which I have not talked. I will show you then. Anyway, okay, we stop here. See you in the next. And yeah, bye.